Well, hello everyone. This is Maria Fakis, Executive Director with Fertility International. I am so happy that you are spending time with me today and absolutely grateful, and I do not take this time lightly. So if you're going to be listening to this in the recording, I'm going to go over a couple things on how you're able to ask your questions, but otherwise let's really jump in. So today we are talking about surrogacy specifically. So we have a program, Surrogacy Smart program, but I also know that some of you might not be in your journey, fertility journey, where surrogacy is applying to you. So I will make sure to step away from the subject of surrogacy and provide to you some general information on assisted reproductive technology options with Adonis Fertility International as well. Okay, and then at the end of the session, I also have a couple bonuses, couple complimentary programs that could be really perfect, easy next steps for you, and I hope you could take advantage of it. Okay, so today our session, it's planned for about 60 minutes, but this is really including Q&A. I want to make sure that we leave plenty of time for the question and answers, and really understanding your unique situation and what some of the areas in which I could support you. As I'm sharing this presentation, feel free to type your comments. You could also raise your hand, unmute your line, but do know that I will leave a lot of time for you to be able to share everything that you have to say. If for any reasons you get disconnected, you could go to the invite that you have received in your inbox, and you could just join the link. Or if you don't have it in front of you, you could open another browser, go to Zoom, ZOOM.us, use an umbrella S as in Sam, and then click on Join Meeting and enter this meeting ID, 475-660-032, okay? And then if for some reason your audio is not coming through, which usually is not the case, but just in case, here is the dial-in information for your audio. So it's 408-638-0968, 408-638-0968, and then at the prompt, enter your meeting ID. And it's the same as for your web. It's 475-660-032. 475-660-032. All right, well, I think that's all housekeeping. Let's jump in. Very quickly, you know that with any medical or legal services, none of the presentations are really intended to provide you a full information at any moment. It could be, you know, we really work hard on providing the latest and greatest, but do know that my role, in no way I could substitute the legal or medical advice. So always seek for the advice of a professional, especially when you deal with the assisted reproductive technology methods in any area. And if you do not have right now qualified people in area of legal and medical advice, do make sure you acquire that. Don't just jump in. It's such a complicated and versatile subject that you want to know what you're getting into, okay? And you want to make sure that you and everything that happens in the process, that you're adequately prepared. What I would love to do today, I really would love for us to explore what if scenario. That's really the main focus. In no way I would be able to answer and cover all of that it is to cover in assisted reproductive technology and even in surrogacy, right? And like I said, at the end, I'm going to have some bonus options that will allow you to dig deeper and really be supported. But in the meantime, I know that we're just going to be scratching the surface of this topic, okay? And I would love for you to keep in mind that question, what if, right? What if it doesn't have to cost as much as it costs here in the United States? What if there is other opportunities? I really love to say, if cost is not an issue, if you could have the best medical personnel at your fingertips, right? The best technology, the best facilities, the best of everything. And also, if you knew you would not fail, what would you attempt to do, right? So let's not prejudge what is possible to us, but let's be open to those possibilities. And then really educate yourself. There is power in knowledge. And there is also power of doing all of those treatments the smart way. Adonis Fertility International. So one of the things that I want you to realize when you're dealing with the Adonis Fertility International and also with our medical arm, Adonis Medical Group, think about large operation, okay? It's a full circle medical operation, medical and legal operation. We have all of those different entities in-house. It is not just one tiny clinic. Okay, so in America, for example, I know many centers and many agencies and many entities of the assisted reproductive technology, they operate on a singular function. So you have your, for example, OBGYN, right? OBGYN who first will determine that, yes, you might need to have some additional methods of getting pregnant and dealing with the infertility. Then you would be referred to your fertility specialist. It's another entity. Most of the time it's not connected. It's not even the same facility as your OBGYN. Okay, and fertility specialist might determine that you need to have some additional services like egg donors or sperm donation, or in a situation of a surrogacy gestational carrier. Then you have your agency on top, and that agency coordinates the relationships between all of those different entities. Then you have your legal representations. Often agencies do not have the in-house legal or psychological support that is required for this type of treatments. And so you have yet other people that you're dealing with. It might be managed on the outside by the agency, but still you dealing with the subcontractors. So, and then and then you go back to your OBGYN for the tracking of the pregnancy. And then you have your separate hospital entity where you're going to be delivering the baby. Your gestational carrier will be delivering the baby. And then you have your high-risk pregnancy specialist, just because anything to do with the assisted reproductive technology by default, it goes as a high-risk pregnancy. So you could see there is all of those different entities. And guys, so when you're thinking about Adonis Fertility International and Adonis Medical Group, what I want you to realize, we are a full-blown operation that is absolutely encompasses all of those pieces together. And there is many pluses to it, okay? One of the pluses is definitely cost. So imagine when you have different entities, how much just when you run the business, everyone has this adds-on. And even when we make decision maybe not to tackle a little bit, there is still time that you spend in managing the relationship with the partner, subcontractor, and so forth, right? So you have a huge cost saving when you have everything in-house. The other big thing, especially when you're dealing with the assisted reproductive technology, is the factor of time. And it's huge. That factor might even be more important for you than the money, because every moment that you lose and every moment the information is being passed from one entity to another and you're trying to get a hold of them, or even if they're very proactive through some coordinator or something, there is still time between companies, okay? And when you have a full control, and when you have everyone who's dealing with your process coming to the table as one united team and talking and saying, what else can we do? How could we brainstorm this matter? How could we speed this up? There is no delay between communication or between different entities. I cannot tell you how much time is being saved and how critical it is to the success of your process, okay? So Adonis Fertility International is the North American headquarters of the Adonis Medical Group. And Adonis Medical Group, the biggest location and the biggest entity that we have is in Kiev, Ukraine. It started over 22 years ago. And guys, it was literally a dream of just two people, two individuals who said, we want to provide an alternative to the medical operation, to the government-run operation in Ukraine. So they have created a company, a private-owned company, and today this company represents a medical magnet, I would say, of 8 medical centers, 66 specialties. We have 10 internal law firms right now. So this says, 1,250 employees, but right now I think it's even close to 1,500. Over 35% of all medical talent in the country. And I know you're going to say, you know what, Maria, Ukraine is not as big as the United States. I know. But when you put it in a percentage, it's still pretty impressive that a private company, a privately owned company, is an employer to over 35% of the medical talent. It's phenomenal. And speaking of the babies and dealing with the fertility and our expertise, over 15,000 babies have been delivered. We are seeing 70,000 patients annually. Guys, there is no question or matter that we cannot take care of and that we cannot handle. You are really dealing, if you ever choose to be with Adonis Fertility International, Adonis Medical Group, you're going to be working with really some top experts in the area, with the best facilities, best medical talents, best research, everything that you could expect of the top-notch medical and legal support. You're going to get that. All right. So our assisted reproductive technology department has 13 people in it. This is just the actual specialists. Of course, you have all of the supporting people, but the medical specialists, we have 8 doctors on staff. We have 5 embryologists. We do over 5,000 IVF cycles per year. And we're rapidly growing. Okay. And I already kind of touched up on the success rate, but based on our operation and access to the best medical personnel and some other factors that I'm going to cover a little bit later, we have some of the highest success rates in the industry, which is so important to you when you choose to invest into the company to support you through your fertility journey. Although we are really focusing on surrogacy today, the assisted reproductive technology department does everything that you would expect from the full-blown operation in that area in dealing with the fertility journey. I have not even listed all of them, but again, it's everything from IVF with the different donations, the different options, surrogacy of all different options, meaning surrogacy with the egg donor, sperm donor. Or surrogacy with just your own material, genetic screening, all kinds of diagnostic, hatching testing, and cryopreservation, everything that goes with assisted reproductive technology, we do that. Our specialists are absolutely phenomenal. Here's just some of them. And I'm not going to be naming every single one of them. I'm just going to scroll through them. But what I want you to really realize is pay attention to the number of years that people are in the industry. They did not just come here today and making the trials anew. No, these people have been successful in working with the industry, and some of them from the beginning of assisted reproductive technology industry worldwide, which is phenomenal. Yes. So you could see wonderful, wonderful people. And here's our team of embryologists. And they do, I love what our chief embryo laboratory embryologist, Bisova Margarita, is doing. She is fighting for you. She is looking for different options and the best ways of doing it. Every single case is unique. And I love how the team is approaching in that very personalized way as well. About surrogacy, I don't know how much you know about it, but just want to put all of us on the same page. Surrogacy is just type of assisted reproductive technology. All right. And like I said, surrogacy, depending on where you are in your fertility journey, is definitely not the first step. It is not. It's really the last step in your journey. It's like when nothing else works, or when nothing else is possible to work because of some of the medical conditions. That's when surrogacy comes to place. People who go through surrogacy, they could be possibly selecting, is it adoption now for us, or is it surrogacy? And one of the big questions that we're always posing for people is saying you have to be absolutely open about the goal, your goals, right? Because if your goal is just to have a child, right, then absolutely adoption is a great option. But if your goal is to have your own child, if having a genetic connection to your child is extremely important to you, it's one of your non-negotiables, then surrogacy, you really should be looking into surrogacy as well. Okay, so a future baby, the surrogacy type of surrogacy that we're dealing with is being carried out by the gestational carrier. Okay, there are different types of surrogacy. We only deal with the gestational surrogacy. Gestational surrogacy means that gestational carrier, a woman who's going to be carrying out your baby, does not have any genetic connection to your baby. Okay, she's not donating her eggs. No, she's only a carrier, and there is always genetic connection to one or both of the intended parents. Surrogacy is also recommended when it's the only chance to become a mother for a woman, when there are certain conditions, medical conditions are being met, right? Or there is maybe a risk to the life of the baby or life of the mother. And also surrogacy absolutely could be an option for the same-sex couples, where, once again, having their own child is very important, is non-negotiable. We call it Surrogacy Smart Program. And why? Because we always, and that's one of the reasons why we're doing the information session, we truly believe that when you're looking in such an important and vital decision as surrogacy or any assisted reproductive technology methods, doing things smart is extremely important, okay? At the end, we all want to remember, what is our goal? Our goal is to have a healthy baby, right? A healthy baby, and risk-free as much as possible pregnancy and situation for the parent, for you guys. So our Surrogacy Smart Program provides robust and cost-effective and guaranteed solution. Not, I don't know anyone else who can do all of those things at once, but we can do that for you. So definitely we would like for you to consider. So our Surrogacy Smart, we're saying that we're going to find the best solution available to you, meaning that if, and I'm going to go through the conditions, but if you're looking at the surrogacy and you meet the requirements of the medical conditions and some of the pre-screening that allow you to do international surrogacy, specifically surrogacy in Kiev, Ukraine, with Adonis Medical Group, then you definitely should consider or put it in the list of options for you, right? And here's a couple things, a couple of reasons. Very supportive legislation. So many people don't know, but surrogacy in the United States really vary from state to state, right? In many cases, it might even vary from county to county. So depending where you are, where your gestational carrier is, there might be some significant limitations on the parenting rights and some other aspects of surrogacy and your relationship with the gestational carrier and with your child, okay? When it comes to Ukraine, surrogacy in Ukraine is federally regulated and it doesn't have exceptions from place to place. It is very robust. It is not being changed, which makes it I would say it leaves very little room for gray areas, which is not the case with the surrogacy in the United States. Okay, and absolutely, there's ways of overcoming some things, but just we were talking to some of our legal partners here in the United States, and guys, yes, you hear about some horror stories about international surrogacy. But you hear so many horror stories about domestic surrogacy as well. It all depends how well you really are being represented and that you work with the top professionals, legal professionals here. But specifically for the Kiev, Ukraine, just know that it's extremely supportive legislation. A rigorous selection process of donors and gestational carriers. When evaluating what are the selection process and requirements here by FDA and other entities in the United States, we have noticed that, first of all, two things. We definitely meet the requirements on the selections. In many cases, our selection process actually surpasses of what is required in the United States. That guarantees to you the best donor, whether eggs or sperm donor, and the best gestational carrier that possibly is available to you. And I mentioned before, full cycle medical support. This is extremely important, saves you money. It also has a direct impact on your success rates. Very convenient exit process for the baby. Again, so when you deal with the gestational carrier situation, not every single international surrogacy program is alike. Ukrainian legislation and very robust and good relationship between embassies in Ukraine and between the United States provides an absolutely phenomenal environment that allows you to have your baby outside of the country and then be able to bring the baby back within a very short period of time without any snags or hitches, and you are really in a big advantage here. And then another thing that I don't want you to overlook it is really 5-star experience. Infertility journey is already sad enough and hard enough with all the tests and everything that you are doing. And guys, several of my friends have went through it, my dear friends, and my heart just breaks for what you're going through. But it doesn't have to be all just medically oriented. You really could create an amazing experience for yourself where, from the moment how you're being met from the airport, type of the top 5-star hotels that you're staying in, all of the spas and personal care that is being taken care of you. This is so important because at the end, when you're feeling good about yourself, when you get a lot of positive emotion, it all adds to the success of your process. So think about it not as a hustle where, oh, yes, I need to travel to another country in order to complete certain procedures. Well, actually, you could have the best world level 5-star experience, the best trip of your life, and I guarantee that. So that's just kind of added bonus of the Surrogacy Smart program. So legal aspects, let me just, again, I'm just scratching the surface. Our time does not allow me to go through all of the details. But so the main thing is with the surrogacy, when you're dealing with gestational carrier surrogacy and surrogacy in Ukraine, surrogate mother cannot call any rights to the child and is not considered to be a mother of the child. Only the intended parents are considered legal parents of a child. This is extremely important. The law is very strict in that area, okay? Which means there is no possibility for the surrogate mother, for the gestation carrier, ever to claim the rights on your child or bring you to court because she changed her mind or something. Again, it's not the same in the United States, and unfortunately there have been quite a few cases where surrogate mother was able to bring the intended parents to court. And I think, many of those cases, they were resolved in a positive towards the intended parents, but still the hassle that the families have went, the scares, the worry, the stress, and the delay of really knowing how the parenting rights are being established has had a great impact on the families. In Ukraine, the law really states in a way that both of the parents are named as the parents, right, of the child. Both of the parents are on a birth certificate, and it's extremely important. It's not the same in some of the states in the United States. But if you do the surrogacy outside of the United States in Ukraine, then the birth certificate that you receive is that birth certificate. And then your child's citizenship is being recognized on the embassy level, and it overrides what's happening in your state, which is makes it very convenient. You don't need to go through adoption process or anything else. Very important for the surrogacy in Ukraine, and this is something that when I was telling you, if you qualify for the international surrogacy, for the surrogacy specifically in Ukraine, you definitely should put it as one of your options for considerations. But because of very rigid legal environment and regulations of that subject in Ukraine, here is those important things that you have to meet in order to qualify for that program. And phenomenal program, guys, phenomenal. So it's available only to married heterosexual couples, okay? You must have the marriage certificate. It cannot be same-sex couples. It's not something that we could negotiate with, because otherwise the surrogacy is illegal, and you would not be able to have your child. So only for this couple. So if you are married heterosexual couple, boom. Let's see the next step. There must be indication of medical conditions. Okay, surrogacy is not. And I know in the United States, some of the agencies and some of the fertility centers do provide surrogacy when other options are available to you as well. But surrogacy in Ukraine, surrogacy with the Adonis Medical Center is really, you must meet medical conditions, okay? And then genetic connection to both or at least one of the intended parents is a must. And I kind of already touched on it, but again, let me touch on that. The child, always, three parties. There is a mom and dad, and then there is a gestational carrier. And then the child is being created by the sperm and egg donation of the intended parents, right? Of your or egg or sperm donation from the third party, sperm or egg donor. But there absolutely must be a connection to both or one of you, right? So if, for example, we have a couple and we need to have an egg donor, the third party egg donor, because of your unique situation, then we cannot also have a sperm donor at the same time. Sperm donor of the intended parents must be used. Does it make sense? Right. So always genetic connection. And that, again, that makes it very gray area free for the legal aspects. That is within the realms and regulations of the surrogacy within the Ukraine. That's why it's so important. Some of the medical conditions, what could they be? And again, the list is very long, so the best thing is really have a consultation with one of our specialists, and I'll let you know how to do it. But here's just some of the general ones, and you could read that more carefully. So absence of uterus is definitely one of them. Deformation of cavity of cervix. You have some structural abnormalities or changes. You have some very severe somatic diseases, right, where there is a big threat to the health of the woman. You also had at least 4 unsuccessful attempts of IVF, for example, right? Again, this is just some of them. Let us meet with you and with our fertility specialist, and then you would be able to determine is that very unique surrogacy smart program for you. Exit process, touched on a little bit about it, but I know this is extremely important part of the process. This is something where we get probably some of the most questions, because we can have a healthy, amazing baby for you. Yes, we will guarantee that the process will go and you will get your results. But you also need to be assured that you could take this baby and bring it home, and you could do it without any problems. You also could do it with a recognition of your citizenship of the United States. You could do it with being on a birth certificate. And the answer to it, all of it, is yes. And the process is very convenient and fully managed for you. You still will need to appear in the embassy to present personally the documents, okay, and to have it processed. But Adonis Fertility Team, Adonis Medical Group, we are preparing all of the documents for you. We kind of hand-holding you through the process. We ensure that everything is done to the regulations and the requirements, and that you could have your baby living with you to the place of your residence within a very short period of time. Again, I mentioned it, but I want to stress it that we are very lucky that the relationship between the United States and the Ukraine is very robust and very good. The processes have been ironed out and outlined in the most convenient way. It is not the situation, for example, with the citizens of a United Kingdom or with Australia or some other countries, where the process with the exit for the baby could be as much as 3 to 6 months, right? And your exit process for the citizens of the United States from Ukraine, it's 2 weeks. So on average, it's 2 weeks. In maybe, some certain cases, it could go up to 4 weeks, but most of our clients are able to do it in 2 weeks, okay? Next step. So really I keep referring to it. So now that we scratch the surface a little bit, now that you understand, but what does the surrogacy mean? What are some regulations? What are some requirements around it? What I want to offer you and suggest that don't just take this information, do something with it. And the best way of doing it is really taking your unique case and meeting with the professionals who are qualified and giving you the advice and giving the suggestions and reviewing this information, and go from there. Okay, so really truly understand. Don't just have like a little bit understanding now here and move on, but understand what is possible, and then let us create a proposal for you, because the cost saving and the level of success and the level of medical support is extremely phenomenal. I don't want you to go through the assisted reproductive technology programs and be broke at the end, okay? I know how crazy, ridiculously expensive it is here in the United States, but just like we said at the beginning, keep that question in mind. What if? What if the cost was not an issue, right? What if you could have the best medical support and the best medical equipment, the best medical research at your fingertips? What if you knew you wouldn't fail? What would you do? But in order for you to really have an answer to it, meeting with a specialist could be a great next step. So what I'm going to do is, as a follow-up to this meeting, I will send you your personal scheduling link where you could set up that complimentary session with the legal team and or with a fertility specialist. You could have all of your question answers. You could really brainstorm what is possible. And if surrogacy is not an option, well, then you also could consider IVF or other treatments with the Adonis Medical Group in Ukraine as well. I know some people say, oh, it's not possible, but then we saw them on the other side of the journey. We saw them when they said, oh, I cannot believe why I didn't do it before, and now I cannot imagine how I would have done it differently. So let's see what's possible for you. But if you already know that surrogacy is an option, and it's already been prescribed by your medical specialist, and you are meeting the legal requirements as far as the medical married heterosexual couple, then Another bonus is consider the new patient sign-up bonus for the surrogacy program. Our program is already saving you probably, close 50 to 70,000 compared to what you're going to be paying in the United States. On top of that, we said, well, for the first qualified couple, let's have additional 20,000 bonus for you, because we really want to remove all the barriers and make you help you be unstoppable in your drive to achieve your goal of having a baby. So if you want to take advantage of that bonus program, you must apply by August 31st, 2019. Okay, and the way you do it is you go to Adonis Fertility INTL, AdonisFertilityINTL.com, go to getting started, and then you will see the new patient sign-up bonus. It's a very short form, just fill it out, and that guarantees you entering into the process that saves your spot as we pre-qualifying you. And then once we got a chance to qualify your legal status, your citizenship, your medical conditions, if all of the check marks is built, boom, you automatically one of 5 couples for that new patient sign-up bonus. All right, and that process is really, it's free of any commitment. It's just when you filling out the form, you're being entered into the process of being pre-qualified, but you could always get out at any time. There is no financial commitment. There is no legal commitment to you, okay, at this point. So doesn't cost you anything to fill it out. Go to AdonisFertilityINTL.com, getting started, new patient sign-up bonus, and also look in your email for 30-minute complimentary consultation or 60-minute complimentary consultation scheduling with our fertility specialist. With that, I am going to pause the recording just because I don't want to be distributing information and your questions. I want your information to stay private. I'm going to stop the recording. We're going to take questions. And if you're listening to the session in the archive, do you know that you could send your questions via email to me? You could also call me, and then you will have an opportunity for very specific qualified Q&A for your unique case with our specialist. With that, thank you so much for your time. I'm just so grateful for the opportunity to connect with you and support you. Enjoy. Have a great day. Bye.